all of them, but all I know is I was just dumbfounded. I am a punching bag. So, and I didn't want to be punching bag anymore. So
it was Emily punching you?
I just had like a moment, and then like, I don't know, like,
where was she punching you?
in my arm and like, kicking me and running, like, just like body blows, and she had.
Today's story took place in October 2021 in Townsend, Vermont, and it reveals how darkness can hide in plain sight, how a journey meant for celebration can end in unimaginable heartbreak. Emily Ferlazzo was born on July 25, 1999, in Northfield, New Hampshire. Her mother, Adrienne, was still a freshman in college when she gave birth to Emily, and her arrival gave Adrienne's life a new sense of direction and purpose. For the first few years of her life, Emily was an only child, the center of her mother's world. But over time, her family grew. She went from being an only child to being surrounded by 5 younger brothers, 4 from her mother's first marriage to Emily's biological father, and a 5th from Adrienne's second marriage to her stepfather, Dave. She lived primarily with her mother and stepfather, while keeping in regular contact with her biological father. Growing up as the eldest, Emily naturally took on a caring and responsible role within the family. Her brothers were much younger, and she often helped her mother look after them. Emily's passions extended beyond her relationships with friends and family. She had a creative, artistic streak and loved to sing. After high school, Emily explored her passion for creativity by attending an esthetician course in New Hampshire. However, her innate desire to help others ultimately led her down a different path. She pivoted to a career in healthcare, becoming a registered nursing assistant. She found work first at a general hospital in Laconia, New Hampshire, and later took a position at the University of Vermont Medical Center. In July of 2020, seeking a new chapter of independence, Emily moved from her parents' home in New Hampshire to Essex Junction, a small town in Vermont. It was there that she met Joseph Ferlazzo, a tattoo artist who was nearly 2 decades her senior. At 41, Joseph was a commanding presence, and for the young and trusting Emily, he may have seemed worldly and protective. After dating for only 4 months, the couple decided to get married. However, from the very beginning, Emily's family harbored quiet reservations. Her mother, Adrienne, was particularly uneasy. She sensed an undercurrent of control in the way Joseph treated her daughter. The significant age difference was one thing, but it was Joseph's behavior that raised the most concern. The problems that would later define their marriage began to surface almost immediately, even before they exchanged vows. Emily found herself constantly reassuring Joseph, trying to soothe the paranoia he held that she was being unfaithful. In the first few months of their relationship, he would demand proof of her whereabouts, his accusations becoming so intense that on one occasion, she had to leave her job mid-shift simply to go home and reassure Joseph that she wasn't with another man. Her stepfather, David, recognized these actions as significant red flags, classic signs of a controlling and dangerously insecure partner. Yet, Emily, ever the optimist and peacemaker, seemed determined to make the relationship work. On several occasions, her parents came close to intervening, especially when they noticed bruises on Emily's arms and thigh. Each time they were about to call for help, Emily would reassure them. She would insist that the arguments were behind them and that Joseph had promised it would never happen again. In early 2021, Emily and Joseph returned to New Hampshire and stayed with her parents. For Adrienne, having her daughter close was a relief. Having experienced domestic violence in her own past, she knew how subtle but harmful these situations could be. While Emily and Joseph stayed with her parents, their relationship remained steady, largely because her parents helped them work through any disagreements. They even sat down with the couple to create a communication plan. And during this time, Emily posted photos on Facebook of the two of them enjoying a picnic. To those around them, their marriage appeared peaceful and intact. By October 2021, Emily and Joseph were preparing to celebrate their first wedding anniversary. They had recently converted a Chevrolet Express bus into a fully mobile camper van, and with their home now on wheels, they decided to take a trip to mark the occasion. They chose the quiet hills of Vermont, hoping for a few peaceful days together. It was the peak of autumn, a time when the New England landscape transforms into a breathtaking tapestry of vibrant reds, oranges, and golds. It was the perfect setting for a romantic getaway. On October 15, 2021, the couple left New Hampshire and drove west into Vermont, eventually arriving at an Airbnb in Bolton. At 9:39 p.m., Joseph sent a text message to his sister, Nicole, who lived nearby. He wrote that they were going to take the night to rest, and told her they would see her the following morning. Shortly after he sent that message, at 10:14 p.m., Emily and Joseph got into an argument. Emily had discovered that the Airbnb Joseph chose for their anniversary trip was the same place where his ex-wife lived. Joseph told her that he did not consider this inappropriate. He also expressed that he did not believe he had to be fully monogamous in their marriage, a belief that deeply hurt Emily and added strain to the confrontation. During the argument, Emily told him she was done. She said she no longer wanted to be with him and that she could not keep living this way. After saying this, she stepped out of the camper van. The next morning, Joseph sent a text message to his sister, Nikki, offering to bring her coffee. He arrived at her rental and used her shower, and when she asked about Emily, he told her that Emily was fine and still sleeping in the back of the camper van. With that explanation, the two of them went out together for breakfast and mimosas. Later that day, while Joseph was out, he sent a series of messages to Emily. He wrote, "This is far enough," followed by, "Get your ass home." He then added that he needed to go back to New Hampshire and asked her if she was coming back. After sending those messages, Joseph met up with a friend who lived in the nearby city of St. Albans. They had dinner together, sharing drinks and laughs. The following day, Sunday the 17th, he met his sister again in Burlington before returning to his friend's house for a barbecue. The following morning, on Monday, the 18th of October, Joseph would return home to New Hampshire. He went directly to the home of Emily's parents. When he arrived, they had only one question for him. "Where is Emily?" It was in this moment that Joseph informed her mother and stepfather of the argument that the two had. He told them that on Saturday afternoon, while driving along the Bolton Valley Access Road, they had gotten into an argument. According to Joseph, Emily had become upset, gotten out of the van, and walked away alone down the side of the road. He claimed he had continued on to a convenience store and had not seen her since. He insisted he had tried to find her, returning to the spot where he last saw her and sending her numerous text messages that went unanswered. But Emily's parents were not convinced. His account was filled with inconsistencies. Even more troubling, Joseph had returned home in a completely different vehicle. The camper van that he and Emily had spent months converting and working on together had suddenly been replaced with a Jeep Wrangler. At approximately 7:15 p.m., Emily's parents contacted the Vermont State Police and filed a missing persons report. From that moment, the case moved quickly. Police immediately recognized the seriousness of the situation, and by the next day, they had issued a public press release. They requested for anyone who might have seen Emily in the Bolton area over the weekend to come forward. They also emphasized that they urgently needed to speak with Joseph, who had disappeared again after leaving Emily's parents' home. As officers searched for him, they received a 911 call. The caller was Spencer Lemons, the friend in St. Albans that Joseph had been visiting. Spencer told the police that Joseph had confessed something deeply disturbing.
Vermont 911, where is your emergency?
Yes, my name is Spencer Lemons. I've got a guy that is going towards St. Albans on Route 36. Trying to make a long story short, he's a friend of mine. Came to my house. He lives in a bus thing. He was like, "Hey, can we go pick up my bus?" And we go to pick up his bus in St. Albans, and there's a bunch of cops out front. I said, "What the heck is going on?" He said he killed his wife. I got him out of my car. He's on this road, and I guess there's a bunch of state troopers at that place. And I was like, "No, but you got to get out of my car." And I was afraid. I got to get him out.
Police located Joseph at a convenience store in St. Albans. He was taken into custody and transported to the Vermont State Police Barracks for questioning.
And, oh my God.
You ever seen the blanket?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
It's cold out there.
Yeah, Paul is finally here.
Oh, yeah. Shivering. Here you go. Well, me. I'm glad they dealt one out. You ever been here before? I know you said you're from Essex, but this place, if you need anything while you're here, just holler, we'll get you water or whatever. There's a bathroom out through that door. There's another bathroom down the way, just.
And we're hoping that you can help us with that. Before we get going, I just want to be fair to you. Obviously, we're here in a state police barracks, right? And I just said we're the state police. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of the rights that you have. So I would read these to you. We're here in St. Albans, Vermont. Are you from Vermont?
Not originally.
Not originally?
I've lived here since 2012.
Okay, that's longer than me. Today is 19th, right? 19th of October. Up in this area the whole time, or?
No, I just started bouncing around. I tried Richmond and Essex.
Working in the Essex area?
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm up here.
I'm going to read these to you, and I'll just ask that if you understand them, you tell me yes. If not, we'll go over them again, okay? So the first one says that you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Right.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer before questioning and to have a lawyer present with you during any questioning. Make sense?
Of course.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you at public expense before any questioning, if you wish. In Vermont, that is called a public defender. Make sense?
Yeah.
If you decide to answer questions, you may stop the questioning at any time. Make sense?
Yes.
Do you understand each of these rights I've explained to you?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to me now?
Yes.
Okay. So this next section is just the waiver. It says, I've been advised that I have the right to remain silent, to be represented by a lawyer, to talk with one prior to questioning, and to have one present during questioning. Knowing my rights, I agree to waive them and talk to you now. No threats or promises have been made to me. So if you agree to that, I'll see you sign right here. Right. Oh, sorry. Oh, you're going to take it. Thank you for that. It's 2:45 p.m. All right. So Joe, is it fair to say that you have an idea of what we want to talk about?
Yeah.
All right. Can you?
I'm here to talk to you. Like, you don't have to be there.
Okay.
I'm sure you already talked to Spencer. I fucked up. Plain and simple. And it's something that I can't undo. So here we are.
All right. Well, why don't we? I think what would be helpful for me is just have you start from the beginning of what happened, and start from the beginning, and we'll listen. And then, maybe at the end we'll have a few questions, but we'll go from there. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll turn it over to you. So, kind of what happened.
So I came to Vermont. I was living in New Hampshire for like the last 2 months with my wife and her family. And I came to Vermont. We were supposed to have like a weekend away, like vacation, do some camping, like have some fun. And like as soon as I like put the vehicle in park, like my wife went completely berserk, like completely psychotic. And I shot her as a result of that. And now here we are. So,
All right. Can you? Where did that happen?
Bolton, Vermont.
Okay. All right. So, I guess my next question is, when did that happen? Saturday. Do you know about what time? Saturday evening? All right.
No way. No. Saturday morning. I think I was going to. It was like, yeah, it was Saturday morning. That's what it was.
Okay.
I got my day screwed up on it.
Okay. I appreciate you clarifying that for me.
That's really much, and I've been home for days. My mind isn't right.
tell me about like how your wife, you said Emily, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about you and Emily getting to Bolton, like when you got there, how you got there, the vehicle you were in, that kind of thing.
We drove the Chevy. I guess we got there Friday night.
Where were you guys coming from?
New Hampshire.
So you go straight from New Hampshire to Bolton? Okay. Where in Bolton? Bolton's a big town.
The resort.
Can you describe it to me?
It's a big resort.
Yeah.
Ski resort.
Yeah, there's a bunch of buildings up there, right?
Yeah.
So whereabouts were you guys when all this happened? Like, where were you headed?
My sister was like Airbnb, so I was like using an opportunity to like spend time with my family.
Okay.
And we just went terrible, it went so south.
All right. Do you know where at the resort? Had you arrived at the resort when this happened?
Yeah, like we were there, and we stopped. Typical, like got some stuff to drink. Trying to like listen to music. I was trying to put some candles on. Have some wine. And throwing the candles around, telling me to put them out, turn the music on. Just being like forceful and aggressive with me. Turned on the punching and kicking and just a lot of hurtful things. I can't even remember all of them, but all I know is I was just dumbfounded that I make all this effort to like try to do something nice. Just get treated like shit.
When we were talking about the candles and the wine and stuff, is that the Airbnb you're talking about, or is that in your RV?
In the RV.
Was it parked up at the resort?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it near the Airbnb that your sister was at?
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with the area. Is there just like a parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that where this happened?
Yes.
Okay. And so, when you say there was a lot of kicking and punching, like who was kicking and punching?
I don't kick and punch. Like
You don't?
I don't.
Okay.
Like, I've never heard up until now. I don't engage.
Okay.
Like I am punching back.
So,
And I didn't want to be punching back anymore.
so was Emily punching you?
I just had like a moment and like I don't know, like
Where was she punching you?
in my arm and like kicking me and running, like just like body blows and she's shorts.
And was this kind of the punching and kicking, was that occurring inside the van?
Yeah.
Or do you call it a van? Is that what it's called? The van?
Whatever you try to like.
Okay.
Whatever you like, in the vehicle.
The vehicle.
That's better.
Works for me.
Okay.
So the vehicle's parked up at Bolton near the Airbnb, and kind of the situation between you and Emily is occurring inside of the van. How does that turn into, I heard you say that you shot her, so explain how that...
Fighting, and she'd gone and laid down. Then I jumped on top of her. And shot her.
How many times?
Two.
Between when she went to lay in bed and to when you got the clock out.
Like, I was between 10 and 15 minutes. That's
So she was laying in bed 10 to 15 minutes before. Was she sleeping when you jumped on top of her?
Yeah, well, 15 minutes actually sounds long, but it's probably more like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Right. I never thought anybody could push me to that.
Plan with Emily's body. Like if the police hadn't shown up last night, what was your plan?
I didn't really have a plan. I was just gonna like take it into the woods and drop it off. I cut her body and put it in multiple bags.
Okay. Tell me about that. How did you cut her body?
I used a saw and cut her body into smaller, backed it up, and I was gonna take it in the woods.
Where did you do that?
In the bus.
On the bus? So, both arms, both legs, the feet and the head, so gotta be, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pieces, roughly?
That's right.
Okay. Is there ever been?
Following this information, police would finally obtain a search warrant for the Chevrolet Express van. And once inside, they would uncover a very somber and disturbing scene. Located in the bathroom, they would find 8 garbage bags, one of which was opened to reveal a severed human leg with a missing foot.
Large trash bags. White.
Have you off the body parts on it?
Her remains were taken to the chief medical examiner's office in Burlington for a full autopsy. The chief medical examiner's autopsy would reveal another layer of brutality. Emily's body had not only been dismembered, but she had also been stabbed 18 times after her death. Despite giving a detailed confession to police, when Joseph was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder, he entered a plea of not guilty. The criminal proceedings moved forward from there. In January 2023, while he was being held without bond pending his criminal trial, a civil suit brought by Emily's family reached its conclusion. After reviewing the evidence, a judge found Joseph liable for Emily's death and ordered him to pay her family $1.5 million in damages. For Emily's loved ones, the lawsuit was not about financial compensation. It was about securing an official legal judgment that acknowledged what had happened to her. The criminal trial began in December 2024. The prosecution laid out a clear and damning case, arguing that the murder was an act of pure ego. They painted a picture of a 41-year-old man who could not handle the fact that his 22-year-old wife had found the courage to leave him. His inflated sense of self, they argued, made him believe it was his right to be unfaithful while demanding absolute loyalty from her.
p.m. We know that Mr. Ferlazzo sent a text message to his sister Nicole inside the Airbnb at 9:39 p.m. Hey, we're gonna take the night to rest, smiley face. You still drink coffee? We'll see you tomorrow morning. Shortly after, Emily's last location data from her Facebook is logged as 10:14 p.m. Instead of going inside and spending time with his sister, Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily argued. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo had brought Emily on their 1-year anniversary to the very same condo complex that his ex-wife lived. They argued because Mr. Ferlazzo seemed to believe that he didn't have any obligations to be monogamous with his wife, be faithful to her, and she told him she was done. She told him she did not want to be with him, that she could not do it anymore, and that she wanted to leave. And 1 minute after midnight, Mr. Ferlazzo turns off his phone. Done arguing, Emily laid down in bed while Mr. Ferlazzo stayed up and stewed. He became enraged at Emily while she lay in bed scrolling on her phone with her head on her pillow. Mr. Ferlazzo sat on the couch thinking, planning. For what he told police was 5 to 10 minutes. For at least 5 minutes, Mr. Ferlazzo sits on the couch and stews.
From her. The defense called only one witness, Joseph Ferlazzo himself. On the stand, his story changed once again, this time into a desperate plea of self-defense. He no longer claimed he had simply snapped. Instead, he painted Emily as the aggressor. This new narrative, however, was riddled with holes. For one, Emily did not own a gun. Both pistols in the van belonged to him. The physical and forensic evidence also directly contradicted his story of a struggle and a body falling to the floor. Furthermore, his claim that his memory of the event was sporadic and that the confession had been coerced by detectives seemed implausible, especially when contrasted with his calculated actions in the days following the murder. The prosecutor pressed him on the absurdity of his account. If he had acted in self-defense, why did he not call the police? Why, instead, did he spend the weekend partying with friends and family while his wife's dismembered body lay in the back of his van? Why did he lie to her parents? As he dismembered her body, at no point did he think to himself that things had gone too far and that he needed to call for help. His actions were not those of a man who was scared and defending himself. They were the actions of a man trying to get away with murder. The jury was not swayed. After less than 2 hours of deliberation, they returned with their verdict. Joseph was found guilty of first-degree murder. On April 24, 2025, he was sentenced to 42.5 years to life in prison. For investigators, the conclusion of Joseph's trial in Vermont did not necessarily close every chapter of his history. Shortly after his conviction, authorities in Pennsylvania announced they were reviewing a possible connection between Joseph and a separate case from more than a decade earlier, the 2009 murder of his stepmother, Helene Ferlazzo. She had been found stabbed to death in her home in Upper Gwinnett Township in October of that year. Her husband, Joseph Ferlazzo Sr., was questioned at the time but was cleared early in the investigation, and the case has remained open and unsolved ever since. Investigators did not confirm Joseph as a suspect, only that they were re-examining the case in light of recent events.